Hello.
Hello.
We are back with We Are Starting a Cult.
It's true.
Our Friday night episode as usual. How about that?
No, you're right. It's us. Me, Grant, and I'm Jake, and then and Mitch is here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We, as well as the rest of probably, like 200 million people or so in this country, were molested by the weather over the last
I don't think
few
any
days.
of us had work on Wednesday.
No.
It was an adult snow day.
I did, but I got to do it from my television room, and I simply watched films and ate food and did my job, Just sat there and waiting for shit to roll in.
I didn't do anything. Well, I was researching for this, but other than that, I didn't do anything.
Yeah, so it was, it's been quite a wacky week as far as the weather is concerned, but we are here to finish off in a non-sexual manner the BTK series.
No, it's true.
How about that, guys?
Yeah.
Another come and gone. They seem to just, they just throw themselves at us, and they're done quicker than you
It's
think.
not even done yet. We got to do this one.
I mean, let's face it. It's like we're gonna get to the end today. There's no more after this until
There's
part
more.
4.
There's
No.
more. There's more.
But yeah, we're gonna wrap up the BTK series today for you guys.
It's true.
As you know, I'm assuming if you're here, you've listened to at least part 2. Hopefully, both of part 1 and part 2.
Yeah, knowing Griffin now, some people, I guess, just go to part 2.
Yeah, I don't really understand people that do that, but
Just
you know
not
what?
knowing how to count.
I'll tell you this: however you want to consume your media, that is entirely up to you, and I'm cool with it.
No, you're doing it wrong.
As long as you're consuming our media, you can do it in any fashion you possibly want.
In the correct way.
I don't think we're quite big enough to have like illegal torrents of our episodes. We might. I don't know.
I mean, it's just out there. Anyone can listen, really.
Yeah, you don't need anything. It's quite literally free. You just click a button and it just shows up for you.
We're everywhere. Okay.
But yeah, so with all that being said, I hope at least the 200 or so million people that were attacked by Mother Nature maybe curl up with a nice cup of tea or a cup of joe or whatever your business is,
Just listen.
And yeah, just enjoy the episode and get ready for the wrap-up here of Burger the King. How about that?
Burger the King 3. That's what the notes say. We last left off with Dennis Rader reemerging from his 8-year crime slumber to take 2 more victims in a span. To take 2 more victims in a span of a year and a half, completely taking advantage of the fact that the police did not recognize his new MO to be that of BTK, right? So he's in the shadows a bit.
I know
more than usual.
I know I let some time pass, but I love the use of crime slumber.
Crime slumber. 8-year crime slumber.
That's perfect.
Thank you.
It's quite literally the best way to describe that.
He was so tired.
It was like a bear sleeping in a cave, just like I'm waiting for it to get a little bit nicer out.
Yeah.
That was him. He's like, I'm waiting for conditions to be just right for this next one.
Needs it correct. After the murders of Maureen Wallace Hedge, BTK's neighbor, and Vicky Lynn Wegerly, Rader decides it's time to take another hiatus from his crimes. This is where we're entering in, yeah. And it was during this nearly 5-year break from murder that he's really starting to feel good about himself, right?
He's really coming into his own.
He's learning self-love in a way.
Okay.
He and his wife and kids they're all dedicated members of the Lutheran Church, right? He was exceeding at work, and he was raising his kids. It was just so great for him.
Yeah, he was thriving as Dennis Rader.
He felt fulfilled.
He's no longer BTK. He is just quite literally thriving as his own man.
There you go. That was, however, until a crime. There was a crime that was committed during this time, right?
Mm-hmm.
The murder of 3 people, all belonging to the Fager family.
Fagers.
The Fagers. Though there were no mentions of the BTK killer in the media, Rader himself felt the need to address the situation. So authorities received a letter from the BTK killer claiming that though it was not him that committed the crime, whoever did had done an admirable job.
Nice. So he's
Admirable
calling out
work,
copycatters. He's like, You guys are good. By my standards, you guys are cool. Everything's fine here.
He's like, just so you know, it's not me, but good job.
Just so you know, I'm in the clear here, but this guy's kicking some major ass.
I'm really loving what you're doing here, kid.
He's taking up the mantle, dude. I respect that. You
got to respect, those coming in the generation underneath you.
He calls it like he sees it, like he's fine.
Yeah. In any case, Rader's success in life, in a way, kind of fulfilled his need for a sense of power that he'd usually get from his heinous crimes during this time. That is until one day, Rader lost his job.
That sucks.
That fucking, don't you hate when that happens? So this put him in a family situation that made him feel sort of powerless. He was now relying on his wife to be the breadwinner, and he really didn't like that.
What a terrible way to just... He's like, I'm sad that my wife is successful.
I'm going to go kill some people.
I need to take action. The only way I know how.
So emasculated. So, nearly 5 years since his last crime, Dennis returns to his fantasies.
Fantasy life.
Fantasy land for Dennis. On January 19th of 1991, the body of 62-year-old Dolores Earline Johnson Davis was found in a ditch in Wichita, Kansas. All right?
Okay.
So it's not looking good for Dolores. She had been strangled with pantyhose and was wearing a simplistic, female mask. You know what this looks like? It's literally just like a rubber mask that looks like it's on from maybe a CPR dummy or something.
Yeah, kind of like what Dwight Schrute was rocking in that one episode.
But it has little circles of pink blush on the cheeks and stuff. It's creepy as shit.
Aww.
Look up some pics.
I
probably
will
post some actually.
I'm gonna look that up right now.
Yeah, look it up so you can live react. But yeah, she was wearing this mask. She'd been strangled with pantyhose. She was in a ditch. When police went to her home, they found evidence of a break-in, leading them to believe that Dolores was abducted, tortured, murdered, bound, and disposed of. So Dolores is gone. And again, the police had virtually nothing when it came to leads, right? And this was still not the MO that they thought, BTK's was, so they were just like, who the fuck is doing this? There was no use of DNA when it came to the full scope of the victims. There was absolutely no links between any of the murders. So they had nothing. The police were baffled. Bamboozled, if you say.
Yeah, I think they certainly are confused. I just saw this picture. It's about what you'd expect.
Yeah.
I have no real other way to explain that.
And it wasn't even about the MO specifically, alone. Just so much time had passed.
Yeah. No,
I
get
why
that.
would they think that?
Yeah, but there's no. It's almost impossible to connect because you're under the assumption that guy's dead, in jail, or just gone.
Yeah, it's been so silent.
So yeah, to think he's back. This isn't Gotham City, okay? It's
Are you sure?
This isn't something that just happens.
The Gotham City of America.
In the Batman movies and shit, they come back to that's the telltale sign of the Riddler or the Joker or the Penguin or Mr. Freeze.
It's we haven't heard from them in 50 years.
Yeah,
this could still be them.
This is literally real life. So they're yeah, it's been 8 years. This guy's probably fucking dead or in prison right now.
Yeah. There you go.
Or so they hope. They don't know.
Yeah. Well, 4 months after the discovery of Dolores' body, Rader got a new job, and it's one that gave him more power than he'd ever had at work.
Oh, wow.
So he is just in the power pool.
He was the general manager at a Burger King.
Oh, wow. No, he was a city compliance officer.
I like that.
So
that
he was
fun.
He was like the hall monitor of the community, basically. He could tell people their grass was too tall or too short. He had access to people's homes. He carried a tranquilizer gun in case he saw a stray animal that he didn't think was supposed to be there.
I don't think you should be here.
Right? It was all state funded.
I'm gonna fucking kill you.
Yeah. He even had a badge. He had a badge, a gun, and ultimately just power. That's what he wanted.
Hey, it worked out. That's what he was looking for this whole time,
There you go. And he found it. During this time at work, he had individuals who were under him in the chain of command, and they often described him as mean, short-tempered, and controlling.
Okay.
Also, threatening was another word that was thrown around a lot. It's so weird. So those around him in the workplace suffered, but they all stayed alive. All right? Because Dennis had all this power. His friggin' power. Dennis was getting the daily power trip he needed from his job to quell the murderous tendencies. It was on January 17th of 2004. So we're skipping ahead quite a bit.
Oh, we're jumping, dude. We're jumping here.
Yeah, this is, let's see, that's 13 years in the future.
Okay.
It was on January 17th of 2004 that a reporter at the Wichita Eagle published a story regarding the Otero family because it was the 30-year anniversary to the day of the unsolved crime.
That's kind of funny. That's just poetic.
It's just like, is that just a slow news day? Why do you got to do that?
Yeah, why are you bringing this back up? It's over.
Just like reopening the wound. But it also mentioned, the article that is also mentioned the unsolved BTK murders. So he was named.
Yeah, he was
in the
fucked.
old paper.
He's in a bad spot here for sure.
Yeah, it's whatever.
But it could always be worse.
I mean, he read it, and it was all just like it happened to coincide with his wife and he were becoming empty nesters, right? Okay. So his children were out of the house right when this happened. Rader's son went to the Navy. His daughter got married. So in a way, Rader seemed to think like he no longer had much to lose. He was like, "It's time to reemerge. It's time. It's my time down here."
This is like WWE wrestling. He was just like, "I'm coming back, baby.
I'm getting that fucking belt."
He did it. He resurfaced.
He got the belt. He got the belt of murder.
He's the crime cicada. That's what he is.
The crime cicada. Mm-hmm. And I'll just mention right now that the murder of Dolores Davis, his murder in 1991, that was his very last murder that he ever committed. So I'm saying that up top. There's still a lot of story.
All right, fair enough.
That was the last one.
Fair enough.
All right, well, where was I? Dennis Rader decided that it was time to terrorize the community with nothing more than his reputation and some sick pranks. So he was gonna goof on this whole city.
He likes goofing, new boot goofing,
New boot goofing. There you go. A few months after the anniversary article was published, the Wichita Eagle received a letter from BTK, all right, which claimed responsibility for the murder of Vicky Wegerly, which was, they didn't even put it together at the time.
No, they didn't.
So he was like, "It was me, bitch." And if the claim wasn't enough to convince them, BTK included photographs of her body in multiple bound positions.
Yeah, that'll do it.
So he's sending photos now.
That'll seal the deal.
Up in the ante a little bit.
That 1,000,000% will seal the deal right there for you.
Yeah. So what one could, posit that the photos were like crime scene photos taken by the police. But given that Wegerly's body was taken away by ambulance before the police had even photographed the crime scene, it was clear that it was actually from the killer. Right?
So they were like, now.
"Oh, shit." Yeah. This sent both national news as well as Wichita specifically into a kind of a frenzy.
You don't say. I mean, it makes sense as to why.
It's pretty terrifying, yeah. It was in 2004 that the name BTK got more news coverage than it ever had in the past. And it makes sense. I mean, everyone's just like, how the fuck is this guy still alive? 74? It's 2004 now.
That is a wild, jump in time there.
Yeah. Most news coverage you ever got. Not a day went by in the city of Wichita for about a year and a half that didn't have at least a segment of the broadcast having something to do with BTK. Yeah. Isn't that crazy? Just every day it's hammered into your mind. Terror.
That is mind-boggling though. Just the sheer, how does an area react to that? Especially somewhere that at that time, I mean, I don't even think now it's very busy,
Yeah.
But just their reaction to that is well, this is what we got, so let's fucking talk about it. How about that?
The fucking city freaked out, dude. Women in Wichita not only brought out they bought out the entire supply of mace in every store. You could not find mace during this time.
So you're telling me it was a bad time to target women for any sort of crime?
Pretty much, yeah.
They were all prepared.
Dude, they also insisted on never being alone, not even when walking to their cars from the front door.
That's smart.
They were just we have to have someone around.
You have to. This guy's fucking crazy.
No, it's true. BTK was causing mass hysteria, and he hadn't even killed again. So, it's minimal effort, maximum outcome for him.
And right, I mean, I could be wrong, but just the way I feel about it is I feel like this was the end goal. That's what he wanted.
So, yeah, just notoriety.
And I mean, I don't think
to get away with it and for everyone to know his name. It's like a
exactly.
You know,
It wasn't
he was
quite,
milking the fuck out of it.
It was nowhere near the level of arrogance of like a Ted Bundy, where it was like, yeah, I did it. You know, like very just like, yeah, like I'm the guy. You know, you don't fuck with me. But there's a certain part of him that was like, you know what? When it does end, it's gonna end in a very big way, and I don't mean that by like killing. You know, a lot. Like, it's just going to end in a fucking shootout or, like, the news.
Well, regardless of how this ends, which we'll get to, in a couple minutes, like, the one thing that he did say, he's like, I didn't plan to get caught. Like, he didn't plan for it.
That's probably true. He's like, well, I'm a little upset with myself.
But that'll come in a sec, in a few minutes. So on December 13th of 2004, Cake TV News, which was like a local news station in Wichita, Cake with a K, so it's Kake.
Okay.
So Cake TV News, they received a phone call from a viewer who claimed to have found something that might have something to do with BTK.
Oh, right? Really? And what might that be?
What might it be? Journalists were sent out to the location, which was a stop sign in a local park, and they found a box, right? What's in the box, Grant?
What's in the box?
What's in the box?
It's Gwyneth Paltrow's skull.
No, that would be way better. In this box, there was a Barbie doll with a noose around its neck, and it was tied to a small piece of PVC pipe, apparently reflecting what he had done to Josephine Otero during his first crime.
That's hardcore, for
Remember,
sure.
He hung her on pipe and then came?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He's a comer.
He comes. So on top of this, also in the box was the ID of Nancy Jo Fox, so his victim from 3 years after the Otero murder.
Ooh.
So he's just like leaving trinkets, leaving his little trophies around.
He's like, come find
it's
me, whores.
BTK. Yeah, he was really trying to drive home the fact that it really was him, and he really was back. He's like, I'm a presence among you. If you guys aren't freaking out enough, up the ante. All right?
I mean, it's working. It's working.
It's working. Yeah. As if there wasn't already like a fire lit under everyone, under the asses of the police. This really got them committed to figuring out who he was, because he's just leaving toys, leaving scary toys. So it was also around this time that DNA was becoming an extremely reliable way to solve crimes. So who would have thought?
You're fucked.
Who would have funked that? Thankfully, the police, throughout all of BTK's past crimes, had the foresight to save all of the evidence. That,
that doesn't bode well for him.
Yeah, all the evidence for each crime. So this allowed them to test certain things amongst the evidence, right? Which ended up all coming back as the same DNA, right? Mm-hmm. But the only problem is the fact that Dennis Rader's DNA was not in their database due to his lack of a criminal history.
They're like, it's all right here, but who is it? It's all right here, man.
It's like, you have to commit a crime for me to think you're going to commit a crime. Says the computer. Wait a minute. Here, where am I?
That is a weird fucking way to do that.
Isn't
I get it, because there's no other way for that to actually, unless you voluntarily are like, hey, come give me your DNA.
In actuality, if you do something wrong enough, it's probably like that thing in the Simpsons. It's like, have you ever handled a penny? Then the government has your DNA.
Yeah.
It's probably something like that for really bad criminals.
Yeah, I'm sure if they wanted to, they could find you, but it's like...
By really bad, I mean like people that are problems for the government.
Yeah, like terrorism and shit,
Yeah.
We found Bin Laden in a fucking cave, okay? Come on.
Exactly. So they didn't have his DNA, so they were like, who the fuck is this? So what do? They put on a little adventure for themselves and a lot of the policemen. They referred to it as the Swabathon.
Ooh, the Swabathon.
The Swabathon. They all called it that. In two-man teams, police began going around to the homes of Wichita residents, focusing on men, of course, because that's what they knew. He was white, and he was a dude.
He's a white man.
He's a white man.
This is a white guy's crime, like, for real. Let's just say
it really is, yeah.
This is some fucked up shit.
But so they would go to all these different people's houses, requesting them to swab the insides of their mouths.
Swab it, baby.
Swab it. Give me all the spit. In the end, the police swabbed over 1,300 people's mouths.
Oh, that's a swabathon if I've ever
That's
heard
a lot of people. That's a lot of spit.
It's a lot of swabbage.
You think if you wrung out those swabs into a bucket, it would be a gallon?
Oh, that's a good question. I feel
How
like
wet
it
are
might,
these swabs? How much were these people salivating?
I mean, yeah, that's good. You definitely would at least get, at the very minimum, you'd get a full
You
cup.
get a good pint glass.
Yeah, like you could get a fair amount of just disgustingness if you wanted it.
Yeah.
If you wanted it,
It would
it's
be
there.
either the best or worst thing for your immune system.
It would be bad initially, but I think in the long run, if you survived, it'd be great.
Yeah, you just ride the plague.
Like you'd have a little bit of everything.
A little bit, just a tad bit. But yeah, so not long after the Swabathon, because, yeah, I mean, they obviously didn't find him because there were just like 1,300 people and nothing. So they kind of gave up a little bit. Not long after the Swabathon, Cake TV receives a postcard from BTK.
Oh.
Okay, he's still sending letters. In this postcard, BTK mentions that he is sorry about the two main anchors' colds, which they had apparently mentioned in passing
That's
during
sweet.
one of the broadcasts.
That's pretty sweet. At least he listens.
He's like, I hope you feel better.
I don't want you dead. I
Remember
want you
those
to
10
feel okay.
people I murdered? So this correspondence was taken by the news outlet as well as the police. It was kind of taken as like, oh, BTK is probably going to target someone at the Cake TV station. Because it's like, oh, you're clearly watching the show.
Maybe
you
that's
know.
just where he gets his news, you know?
I mean, he's obviously from Wichita.
Like, I think it's a little heavy-handed there. They're like, oh, God, they're coming for us. It's like, maybe you're just a good source of news. Maybe take it as a positive. And
Maybe.
I don't know. It'll
Yeah.
be fucking weird.
A lot of the documentaries I was watching were just mainly the Cake TV people.
I feel
Yeah,
like I
just
was
like talking
afraid for
about
my
the whole
life the whole time.
Pretty much.
I knew he was going to come and rape us. It's like, no, you didn't.
He didn't even do that.
You didn't even want that.
Yeah, he wants power. It was about a week after this, a week after the postcard, that the local Lutheran church group contacted Cake TV, and they wanted a tour of the studio.
Okay.
And who else but the president of the church congregation, Dennis Rader, was the one who set the whole thing up.
That's
It's like,
perfect.
maybe this will be fun thing for God.
God's going to love this one, guys.
Yeah.
Buckle up.
Yeah. So the entire tour, he was taking pictures, he was making small talk, and you just fucking know he was hard as the Dickens.
Oh, yeah, the whole
He
time.
had to have been. Like, are you shitting me? That guy's belt loop was working overtime.
That was his Woodstock, for sure.
Yeah. He was right under the media's noses, and the entire country was looking for him.
And they were literally seeing him. That's what was even better.
It's like he's right there.
If they knew what they know now, that would have been a very different day. But it was not.
It was not. It was that day and how it transpired. Unfortunately. So Cake TV, after receiving another letter from BTK, the BTK killer, thanking them for so many words, for getting the word out about him.
Mm-hmm.
So basically he's like, thank you so much for talking about me. It's so nice. It's an interesting decision what the Cake TV goes on to do. They knew he watched the broadcast and felt the best way to keep him talking and communicating with them and the authorities was to address the fact that they knew that he was watching the broadcast.
Damn.
So they were just like, hey, we know you're out there. We know you're watching. Just letting you know we know. Like that kind of thing. Like, it's super weird.
Right.
But it worked. They figured out, the more correspondence that he had, the more likely it would be that he would like slip up and give some sort of clue as to his identity, which again, they were totally right. It was after this, on January 25th of 2005, that Cake TV received another letter. He loves these letters to this place, from BTK saying that there was a cereal box left in the bed of a truck in a parking lot along with the exact location.
Damn.
And you get
Exact
it?
location.
Do you get it?
Oh, yeah. No. I'm picking
Serial
up.
killer?
He's a serial
Cereal?
girl in a material
You
world.
understand?
Oh, I do.
Yeah. So they went out there. Police were contacted, who then quickly went to the location to investigate. Inside the box was a piece of jewelry from one of the victims from the 70s, along with a note. And here's where he fucks so hard up. He fucks up so bad. He's not doing well here. He's really showing his age, because the note asked the police if he could send a floppy disk without it being traced to a computer. And
Damn.
if so, to print the message, "Rex, it will be okay," in the classified section of the newspaper.
Okay.
So he's literally asking them how computers work, and he's going to trust their answer.
Damn. He's like, I believe you.
Why would he do that? So for some reason, Dennis was under the impression that cops had to be honest with serial killers.
But you can't lie to them, they know.
Batshit belief that seemingly came out of nowhere. It would be his downfall. So Raiders saw the response because they printed it. They were just like, yeah, Rex, it'll be okay. And that meant, yes, we can't track you. So he saw the response from the police in the newspaper and promptly sent them a floppy disk.
Here's a floppy disk
in the mail. So this floppy disk contained a single file that was merely a Word document that read, "This is a test."
Okay.
So he didn't send anything. It was supposedly just a test to see if it was a means that he could actually communicate with them. So now floppy disks are a bit more high-tech than one might believe, or at least more high-tech than I thought they were, in that past actions that occur on the floppy disk, even if they're deleted, are stored on it.
Okay, yeah.
like you can't get rid of it once something has been done with the floppy disk.
Yeah, unless you break it, but yeah, you can't just
Yeah, it has to be eviscerated. It can't exist anymore.
Erase.
So police were able to see that something had been printed from the floppy disk in the past. And when something is printed, the disk keeps track of the IP address attached to the print job.
Okay.
So police, through this, were able to see that the IP belonged to someone named Dennis. They got his first name. All right?
Okay.
Not his last name, but here's the next part. So also stored on the disk was the fact that the local Lutheran church was a factor in all this. Okay? So once the police had the name of Dennis paired with the Lutheran church, they literally Googled it. They Googled the two things together. Dennis and the whatever Lutheran church is in Wichita. And what do you know? The only Dennis at the church was the church leader, Dennis Rader.
Beautiful.
So
how about that?
30 some odd years later, they're just like, oh my God, it was that guy. And once the police looked into Dennis and his loving family and his positive actions in the community, it became clear why they were unable to find him for so long. He was just blending in.
Yeah, it was quite literally the perfect cover.
So successful in his blending in.
The two probably best ways to cover your tracks would be to, number one, overall, the best thing to do is exactly what he did. Just blend into your everyday normal life.
Yeah.
And just keep
Have
going.
a hot dog, mow your lawn.
And don't get greedy, just do it and keep going. Number two is the more obvious one. It's a lot easier. You just leave. You kill someone in this area and leave. And then you go somewhere you've never been, kill someone and leave.
And then you just leave, yeah.
And that one's a lot more work, but there's a lot less to juggle with that. The day-to-day life, just living BTK, that takes a toll on you. It takes a special individual to be able to handle that.
Flip-flop. It didn't seem to have any, effect on him, though.
No,
and he felt like he was a genius for that. He was like, I'm so fucking good at this, guys.
Well, and what's sad is, in a weird way, I know this sounds really morbid, but the truth is, he is a genius.
In this story, no.
He is a genius. There's no way to say he's not, because he is doing successfully what many others tried to do and could never do to that level.
I do think that there's a difference between a genius and a guy who made a couple correct decisions regarding his exploits.
Hey, in his own field, he's a genius.
You're right. No, you're right.
It's you got to think, when you're talking about serial killers, not that they're not smart, but there's some that are a lot more. Maybe even smart isn't a great word, but a lot more intuitive about what to do and when to do
natural killers.
And he fits that bill. He made very little mistakes.
Yeah.
And the ones he did were,
it all worked out.
Yeah,
it's just
pretty much.
It's a mixture of him doing it semi-correctly and a lot of luck.
And the truth is, he really, I guess that's something you'd never know, but if he was able to stop killing he probably would have gotten away with it forever.
Oh, definitely. Especially
no one would have done anything.
if he didn't send them a floppy disk.
Yeah, that was a fatal error. That was a fatal
He probably
mistake.
would still be okay. But, yeah, so the police are pretty sure that Dennis Rader is their man, right? But
he
they
fits the
can't.
bill.
Yeah, but they can't just, like, for some reason, that's, like, not enough evidence. They wanted to get more evidence on him. So they needed his DNA. And instead of doing, like, a continued swabathon, just randomly after it had ended, just, like, showing up at his house, they were just like, that's too dangerous, all right? It felt too risky. Instead, the police went to the doctor of his daughter.
Okay.
And using a blood sample from a recent test she had taken, the police performed a sort of like reverse paternity test on it, and against the DNA that they'd collected from all the crime scenes. And in less than 24 hours, the test came back positive. So Rader's daughter's DNA matched that of BTK.
Okay.
And police jumped into action.
Now,
All right.
I'm sure there's more to it, obviously, but that sounds super unethical. That
Well, it's kind of unethical what BTK did there.
It is, but it's
Right.
like it's the classic like two wrongs don't make a right. Like a good comparison nowadays is like
What eye for an eye makes the whole world blind. If the police didn't lie to him, they would have never found out.
think of look at Apple. Was it the FBI that was trying to get into like the phone or whatever?
I don't know.
And they took the stand.
They're always trying to get into phones.
And Apple was like, no, like we can't do that. That's part of like our agreement. Is like you need consent. Just because we're the company that runs it doesn't mean we can just like take that person's information and like give it to you.
Respect.
And it's kind of similar with that doctor, where it's like, if it was his doctor, it would be worse because it's like that's a direct like not cool thing to do. But maybe he got like permission in a weird roundabout way from the daughter to be like, hey, we're gonna send a sample of your DNA. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like we need to send your blood in for more tests.
It's still
it could be as simple as that.
slightly unethical. I'm not saying that it wasn't a good thing. It's just like I'm pretty sure that goes against everything doctors are supposed to stand for.
Sometimes you need to go against the grain a little bit, catch some killers.
You got to be. They took away his license too. They're like, "Thanks for helping us. You're fired."
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, police were just like, "Oh fuck, we have him." All right, so they jumped into action and pulled Dennis Rader over on his way home from work.
Damn.
Just that day. So once they pulled him out of his car. He was in handcuffs. He was being walked back to a police car. Once he saw the lead homicide detective on the site of the arrest, he literally greeted him by name. These two people had never met before in their lives. He just had done that much research.
He knew
on everyone involved in what he was doing.
The craziest thing is, like, at first, I mean, I like to imagine that he knew the whole time. Like, as soon as it happened, it was like, this is the one,
Yeah. No, in what I'm about to say, like, it's pretty clear that he was like, well, yeah.
But I like to think that he didn't know, and he's just like, oh, goddamn speeding ticket, I gotta get home.
Yeah.
And they're just like, sir, can you step out of the car? He's like, what is this bullshit? He sees me, he's like, oh, fuck.
No, he went quietly. He was just like, hello, homicide detective.
Oh,
and then
he
was taken into custody, man. He never even attempted to lie. He never denied it. Like, he would just say, he never said he wasn't who they thought he was. He didn't even seem too broken up about being caught. In fact, he proudly stated that he also killed Maureen Hedge and Dolores Davis, which police were unaware of, prior to this.
Okay.
So he not only was he not denying anything, he was like, yeah, and also this.
That's interesting in and of itself because I know
he wanted the credit he deserved.
A lot of serial killers don't necessarily avoid incriminating themselves when it comes to that, but I mean, find me one that didn't at least try some way to get out of it. Like, I'm insane, or oh, this happened, or like tell a story to be like, oh, this is really what happened. Like
Son of Sam with the talking dog,
Yeah, it's like this is different in the sense that he's straight up just like, yeah, you know what? I did it, and here I got a couple more that you didn't know I did. So how about that?
Yeah, how about them apples?
And they're like, sir, you're gonna go to prison. He's like, yeah, I know. Fuck it, I'm doing it.
Dude, he was 59 years old and had been an active killer for over 30 years of his life.
Yeah, he is. That's what I was looking up. He is in the top of the list, but he is not actually the longest active killer that the United States has ever seen.
Who's
He's
that?
close. There's a lot of conflicting reports, but Samuel Little holds the title at about 35 to 38 years.
Holy shit, I forgot about that guy. He was caught recently, wasn't he?
Yeah, not too long ago. He died in December of 20. So he was not that long ago. Like, that's not ancient history.
Not at all, no.
But BTK, the numbers are weird. I don't know why they exclude him from lists a lot, like, because the one list I was looking at had Sam Little at the top, and then it was the Green River Killer, who was at 19 to, 23 years, and BTK is a lot longer than that. So I cannot say with confidence he's number one, but he's certainly in the top three.
Yeah.
As far as longevity.
He was good at this, yeah.
And for that list, I'm only including people that were eventually caught. You could say the Zodiac Killer because, no one knows who the fuck that is. So, or they say they might, but
no,
it
was
knows.
just an independent group of people that were just like, yeah, I think we found him, and then everyone believed him. And I don't know. Did you read about that when that happened?
I did. It was a little
it was
fishy.
just like, this seems like they just are saying this because it's convenient that he's dead.
The only one I ever actually believed in that they found someone years later was DB Cooper.
Oh yeah.
Which that'll be an episode in and of itself. But
yeah, we'll do that.
Just a brief run around. This guy, he hijacked a plane and a bunch of money and disappeared forever. And I want to say it was maybe 2015 or 16. They think that they found him through family connections and shit. Mm-hmm. And there's a video online that I saw, and it literally is this old man, and this camera crew goes up to him, and he's like, "What?" And they're like, "Sir, blah blah, what's your name?" And he's like, I don't know what he says. I'm Noah Johnson.
He slipped up and said, "I'm DB Fuck."
No, he gave his name or whatever.
It's been 60 years.
And you could tell he was upset, but not mad. He was more just come on, I want to go do my shit today. And the minute they're like, "Are you familiar with DB Cooper?" He just goes stone faced, and he's like, "Leave me the fuck alone," and just walks away.
Whoa.
And for some reason, just the way he reacted, I was like, I think they might have actually caught that guy. But there's no actual proof that could ever tie
did they follow up with him, or did they just maybe it was him? Anyway,
they tried, but he was avoiding all cameras and interviews, and it was it's a hard situation because it was so long ago that it's you need irrefutable evidence to take that to court.
Yeah.
And if you can't get it and the guy won't cooperate, you can't make him cooperate.
Yeah, no,
because you could be wrong. You could just have the wrong guy.
Yeah. But in any case, he doesn't count because he's not technically caught. But
yeah, he didn't kill anyone.
But yeah, dude, he was 59 when he was arrested, BTK that is, and he was active for over 30 fucking years.
Yeah, wasn't that
That's a long ass time.
Was that the year previous or the year of the White Sox winning the World Series?
2005, dude.
Yeah, so it was the year they won.
Yeah.
So it's not that long ago,
I remember that
horrific.
happening. Joe Creedy was the third baseman, is all I remember.
You know what? It's funny is that I'm pretty sure you're 100% right about that.
Yeah, dude.
That is a name that I forgot, and it's in my head now, and I'm like, I know that
Joe
name.
Creedy. Anyway, so police, after he was arrested, they got a total of 11 search warrants for multiple locations tied to Rader. One of which, was his house. It makes sense. So there in his home office, in the bottom drawer of a file cabinet, they found yet another box.
Ooh,
all these boxes.
The box of all the boxes.
What's in the box? In this box were original copies of the letters that he'd sent to the police and, the news and stuff. So I guess he faxed them or something. Or
he sent them in, or he made photocopies or something.
Something like that, yeah.
You think, though, it's kind of smart, because if you have the letter, I mean, you got to figure out a way to do that, but if you photocopy it, you could,
you could pick it up with tweezers, put it in an envelope.
Right.
And,
There's zero evidence. And even, I would imagine that the handwriting experts, it's probably the same, but any trace of DNA is going to be very different. And if you somehow were able to, track where that paper came from, it's some guy came in and made, copies. I don't fucking know.
Ooh, this guy. But yeah, so they found a bunch of those, the original copies of the letters. He found trophies from past victims, which was licenses and jewelry and shoes, maybe, and
pantyhose. Fun stuff like that.
Just fun little trinkets. and thousands of pictures of himself, Rader, that he'd taken of himself, dressed up as a woman and bound in multiple locations and positions.
Yes.
In one of them, he actually dug a grave and went down inside of it and bound himself, took a picture, and then he just didn't use the grave for his victims.
Damn.
So he dug a grave for himself.
And it's funny because the knots are, they weren't what took him down. It's definitely started to raise some questions because they were noticing rope patterns. And it was like, okay, this is weird. We're getting like some similar motives here. And then in court, that was actually the final nail in the coffin. He admitted it, so it was like, okay, they might have been a little bit like open to some leniency, maybe not death or something, But they were able to connect the photos and the rope patterns and marks on the body.
Really?
And that was pretty much the irrefutable proof that he was the guy.
Damn. And dude, he was like a scoutmaster too, so he had all those knots down pat.
Yeah, no, 100%. This guy, he was prepared for all that shit. And the thing that he loved most, binding, was one of the reasons he was taken down.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah, it was right there in front of us the whole time.
But he's a unique guy.
He was a complete fucking psychopath. When the trial actually started, he basically was like, there's like, do you plead guilty or not guilty? He's like, well, for the sake of time, it just makes, I think this is his exact quote. He's like, I think it makes mathematical sense for the sake of math. I'll just say I'm guilty.
Yeah.
He's all right. So are you saying you're pleading guilty? He's like, guilty. Yeah, guilty.
I think again, this is just me speculating here on, past stories and reading things. I would imagine that a big driving force in that decision for him was the fact that he had a family, and he for everything he did care about that family. Because if he tried to deny it, he wasn't dumb. He knew there's no way he was going to win,
No, yeah, he knew.
And it made everything a little bit easier because it didn't draw it out as long, and it was like,
that is
let's
true.
just get it over with.
But also, it kind of expedited him into his own confession, because that was something the judge made him do afterward. He's like, before I can indict you for this, you have to tell me what all fucking happened. So he got to relive each and every murder by verbally telling it to an entire courtroom of the family and loved ones of the people he murdered, exactly how he murdered them.
That's baller.
And he would smirk every now and again. And I think there was some guy who was commenting on it in a documentary that I was watching. He was like, yeah, the way he was talking, it was like he was just telling you how to make the most killer chicken salad. It was just so casual.
He's first you're gonna want to take this, then you're gonna want to do this.
You do some pecans. I do sliced grapes. But no, he was apparently just super calm and just saying these awful, crazy things that he did to the victims' families.
Yeah, and there's no denying that he's one of the more brutal guys. And the one thing he had going against, not against brutality, but to show that he wasn't maybe as brutal, he never really, torture's part of his name, but it wasn't really his game,
Well, in a sense, yeah, I don't know. He would suffocate people once he even got the hang of it, to the point of just passing out, to where they would wake up again, and he would do it again because he just wanted that thrill of the power of
he'd edge you.
Yeah, he would edge you into death and then bind you up there. So I would say that's kind of like a torture.
On a grand scale, I would say his torture is significantly less than
that of David Parker Ray Bob Berdella.
Hell, even Jeffrey Dahmer. He wasn't even really a torture guy. He
wanted a zombie companion.
He was just doing weird shit. He wasn't even about that. But
so lonely, that guy.
His torture was almost, if it wasn't worse then, it was certainly on par with BTK.
Yeah.
And torture's literally in his fucking name.
Well, it can't be that accurate. It's a guy with an inflated ego, and he literally gave himself that name.
Yeah, that is true.
in a letter that he wrote to the police because they weren't paying attention to.
Typically, people that
Like,
make their
that's-
own
he's a
nicknames
fucking
don't deserve nicknames.
Idiot.
You know?
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, dude, the sentencing, he was sentenced to life in prison times 10.
So 700 years in prison.
About 700 years. Yeah, he's never getting out of there. He's still alive today. But apparently the reason that they didn't go for the death penalty, well, it's more or less because they couldn't. Because at the time where he committed the murders, like at the time that he committed them, the death penalty like wasn't an option in Kansas. So that's how he skated away from it, from like a law that was changed like 30 years prior.
See, I feel like, and it's funny because I'm anti-death penalty. I don't think it. Here's why.
Anything that gets rid of all these fucking people on the planet, yeah, go ahead and do it. I don't care.
See, the reason I'm against the death penalty is because we reserve it for like some of the worst crimes, you know. But why we're literally giving them the easy way out. So a guy that like tortures, eats, and kills and rapes people, they're like, we're just gonna kill you. You're just gonna be dead instantly. You know, it's like no punishment, no like. That's what prison is like for. You know, like that. I'm sorry to tell you if you're a believer, but it's not a place of reform. It's a place of suffering.
No, that's where criminals are really perfected.
Yeah, that is quite literally the reason prisons exist, is to suffer and really just make you think about what you did.
Yeah.
And, I think it's stupid. But in the case of the BTK killer, why wouldn't you? Dennis Rader literally admitted everything to you, gave you, like, coordinates. You have 100% evidence. There's no way that it's incorrect. That's a guy that you could just fucking kill, you know?
Yeah, you could probably just kill him.
Like, if anybody should get the death penalty from a guy who doesn't believe in the death penalty, it should be that guy. Because he was like, yeah, you know what, I did it. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
What are we doing, you know?
Here's the thing. Yeah, I mean, and he is still fucking alive.
Yeah, and I mean...
He's alive.
He'll probably be around for a little bit longer, I imagine. I mean...
Yeah.
You know, the life expectancy is only rising, and I'm sure even in prison, it's not as low as you might think it is, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And apparently after he was like indicted and like in prison and stuff, he actually made like some phone calls to Cake TV because they found out they wanted to do like a story on him.
Uh-huh.
And they recorded like the whole phone call, and some of the things to come out of it were like, do you feel bad for the victims? And he's like, yeah, you know, I do. I really wouldn't want that to happen to my family.
Well, that's nice.
But I am kind of proud of what I've done. Like, I'm proud that they could be a part of my whole,
accomplishments.
My accomplishment. Yeah, he viewed them as accomplishments, and he was like, you know what? Good job, everyone. Everyone involved. Except for me is dead, but
all around.
Everyone involved. Yeah. Pumpkin stickers, stars, anything you want.
Yeah, he's typical ego guy. And it's funny because when you think, at least to me, I mean, when you think of an egotistical serial killer, you think that they'd be a lot more reckless, you know?
Yeah.
And he certainly wasn't like a clean killer. He was pretty reckless in his own way, but he did enough to skate by for 30 years.
His lack of cleanliness in the crime scene was made up for by his crazy cleanliness in life.
Yeah, so it's just very strange that it all worked out that way, because he truly was just born to kill. Like, dude, that's what he was there for.
And his family didn't even know until the very end.
Yeah, until it was on the fucking news.
Dude, even the police that I saw that were interviewed, they were just like, they are victims in and of themselves. It's like, yeah. No, yeah, I agree with that.
No, 1,000%.
You've lived your entire life a lie.
Like, you had no... And the worst part of that is, like, I mean, you just know how society is, at least here in America. They're not staying in Wichita. Like, there's no way.
No, there's no way. You can't. You literally can't.
You have to uproot your entire life because they know that you were there, you were the family. It doesn't matter what the truth is. They're gonna put that on you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Dude, another thing I just remembered. There was apparently supposed to be an 11th victim that Rader admitted to. And a little sidebar here. So at his job, like as like a community ordinance, like whatever guy, ordinance officer, he like had the people under him, right? And there was this one specific like receptionist that only ever saw like the worst side of him. So he would like lock her in the room with him and scream at her and shit, and like she feared for her life like a lot of the time.
Yeah, it sounds
in
like
the
a terrible
workplace.
boss.
Yeah, just in the workplace. So so she was like filing complaint after complaint about this guy, and once he actually got arrested, she was like, "Fucking see? Do you see what I mean now?" But anyway,
You guys get this? Are you picking up what I'm putting down, lady?
so yeah, so she was in a way like a problem for him, you know. But so his 11th victim, he told like the news. He was like, yeah, it was someone named Mary, and it was going to be on this street, and she lives in a duplex. And then, at least the documentary I was watching, it just cuts to her. She's like, my name is Mary. I lived on that street in a duplex.
I was going to be killed.
So it was basically like, yeah, she was going to be the final victim of his, and it was just going to be his version of the bitch at work.
He's like, this fucking bitch. I'm going to kill her. I'm going to fucking kill her.
But it didn't happen. He's in prison forever.
Yeah, he's caught forever.
Forever he's gone.
And that will never, ever change now unless he breaks out.
Isn't that fun?
But that doesn't seem to happen very often like it does in the films.
Not anymore, yeah. And, dude, I kind of miss, like, in some countries back in the day where if you escaped prison, they were just like, damn, dude, you deserve freedom. That was hard to do.
Like, fuck, man, go ahead.
Man, he did it, didn't he?
Go ahead, man, just leave. It's like Alcatraz. Like, that was pretty much their, like, thought. Like, they say they looked, but they're like, water's too cold. No way they're alive.
It's like they're either dead or they did a really good job.
Yeah, so just fuck them. Just whatever. Just let them be. I don't care.
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, that is officially the BTK series.
It's Dennis Rader. He's alive and kicking. Isn't that awful?
We have completed yet another true crime we've barely scratched the surface as far as true crime availability. But we're making dents.
Yeah, no, I'm glad that we did this, and it took a while. I had fun along the way. Maybe we'll do something a little lighter though in next week.
Yeah, we'll probably do
a little palate cleanser.
We'll probably do one of our one-off episodes, I imagine.
Yes.
That seems to, especially after a series, it's nice to have a brief little respite like that. It's hard, especially topics. It's like it's hard to switch completely. It's like, oh, Dennis Rader. Okay, well this week now I'm reading about fucking this. It's hard to bounce around.
We'll find our footing. We always do.
But yeah, so we'll be back as we always are. We never miss a
We're always
week.
back for you.
Even when we do miss a week, we make up for it. We do it double.
What more do you want? Here.
Yeah. But yeah, so we have wrapped up our series. How about them apples, guys?
How about them apples? He killed so many people. 10, I think.
Yeah, he did. It was 10. It was 10.
Yeah, in Wichita.
It's funny when you say that that's not like an incredibly high number, but it's high enough to where you're like, I don't want to be with that guy.
He also did so many other things that made it scary.
Well, I mean,
so,
he's got a whole ambiance with him. He does more than one thing.
Cool, collected father who dresses up as a woman and kills people.
But yeah, so that is our episode for the week.
That's BTK, and there it was.
A little bit of a shorter bite. You guys are missing a couple minutes here, but we're not going to sit here and extend and lie to you and say there's more to the story, but the story's been told.
You're absolutely right.
I'm an honest man. So let me tell you this.
Yeah.
We
are starting a cult?
We are. I mean, we are doing that.
We're always that. You're a part of it.
I feel like at this point we are reaching the point where we just are a cult now.
Maximum cultitude.
And we're coming up on it. I mean, I know the first ever episode was Christmas Day of, was it 18?
It was 2018. Yeah, dude, I actually was looking at this with Karen the other day. Like, our David Huggins was February of 2019.
Yeah. Because we did David Huggins.
Because that was our first official one, but the first ever one was on Christmas.
And then we did Garavito, I believe, right?
Garavito, yeah.
And then we took a couple week break where we didn't do anything.
We had no structure.
And then that's when I want to say was it late April of 19? Where we really started the week-to-week thing.
We were trying to, yeah.
And definitely. I think we've succeeded.
And we haven't stopped.
We have not missed a week. I think we did over the summer, maybe.
That
But
was
we
when
did,
you had COVID, though, right?
Oh, yeah, we did
So
do
we just
that.
posted like a Patreon episode.
We did have to do that, and then we missed a week, but we did back-to-back episodes. We did one Thursday and one Friday.
All for you.
Yeah, so
Guys.
we're coming up on 3 steady years of material, so
Yeah.
you guys are going to be getting huge backlogs. If you're new to the show, if this was your first thing that you checked out, definitely go back and look at some of the other shit we've done.
Yeah.
There's a lot of it. You know, you can really get your pick of what you want. There's everything.
We've done so much.
And we've covered many a bases, you
I
know.
love how we were just like, we won't extend this for you guys. And then we just proceed to pat ourselves on the back for like 5 minutes.
Hey, I'm okay with it. We don't do this very often, you know.
No, I mean, yeah.
I'm proud of who we are.
No, yeah, we're good people, right? Because you're Grant and I'm Jake and Mitch was here.
That is true. And on a side note, this is
okay.
something I'm asking a request of our audience, okay?
That was my light intro into the end, but go ahead.
Yeah, I, that's why I want to stop. I don't want to
you.
end this yet.
Hate
I
you
got
now.
one thing to say.
Don't like you anymore.
I need a favor from all of you out there listening, okay? I need you to email us, DM us on Instagram, fucking send us a postcard. I don't know. Figure out a way to get in contact with us. Let us know who your favorite living actor or actress is right now.
Lettuce.
Or anybody famous in general. Who's somebody really famous that you love? You love them. That's all you need to know for now. But just
Badlands Chugs.
I love Badlands.
Yeah, that's
Chugs.
one of mine.
That guy's the shit. He is like the shit. But
Chug in the ocean.
absolutely, that is the end of my talking for the episode.
Trying to steal my job with the outro.
No, that's what
fucking-
I'm backing off early, you know.
Fucking banana.
So love you guys, and I will be back next week. I'll see you later.
No, it's true. So will I. I'm pretty sure. I think I'll be here because we are starting to call this Grant. I'm Jake. Mitch is here, and we can get in contact with you. You can get in contact with us at Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and then there's the email, startacult@gmail.com. There's a link for the Patreon below where we do bi-weekly extra episodes. And YouTube is pretty fun, right? You watch that, and then you can subscribe to us on there.
Yes.
Yeah.